Alrighty, let me just move this camera a little bit. Alright, hope everyone is doing well. Let me double check the audio and everything here, make sure it is working well. Hope you're having a good Monday. Please bear with me for a moment while I double check that we've no connection issues. YouTube. Interestingly, I'm not able to find this video. Okay, here we go. Here it is. It is live. Okay, here we go. Here it is. A little bit. It's working. Right. Hope everyone is. Hallelujah. Well, welcome to episode number 20. What is this? 22? 21? I think it is 22. Yes. Welcome to episode number 22 of Azren's Journal. For people who are new to this whole segment, essentially this is a segment on my YouTube channel where I talk a lot about my personal language learning journey, and of course the segment on my channel where I give everybody a whole bunch of different language learning tips and language learning advice. So today's primary topic is, well, I guess this doesn't really answer it for you, but it's talking about why becoming fluent in a language in many respects is quite easy and quite simple, but in other respects it is actually incredibly difficult and incredibly complex. And so let me explain where this is all coming from. I was thinking about, while I was driving today, I was thinking about the concept of working out and becoming in shape. There are a lot of people, such as personal trainers, there's a lot of people who are in great shape. They have big muscles, they're flexible, they eat really well, they're nutritious, they go hiking, they play sports, they drink this smoothie, they're really awesome health. There are people like that. And ultimately, when you look at what it takes to achieve that kind of health and fitness and nutrition level, it takes a lot of work. A lot of work. They're very disciplined, and it takes quite a bit of effort. And it's funny, right? Because a lot of us that go to personal trainers, we never really expect to be in the same shape as our personal trainer. Our personal trainer is doing fantastic, and we are like, man, I'm never going to be like that, but hopefully I can be better than I am now. So what's the connection between this and language learning? Well, when you look at many polyglots, many people that speak this language and that language and this language, and they're able to do this, and their pronunciation's so good, and they're able to blah, 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 and they're so strong with languages, it's kind of like, it's very similar to viewing someone and looking at someone who is a personal trainer and who is in perfect, quote unquote, or in fantastic shape. And the reality is that for the majority of people, at least what I was thinking as I was driving today, for most people, I just don't think that I just don't think most people are going to get to, number one, speaking the same number of languages as many polyglots do. I think number two, even having the level that a lot of polyglots have in languages, I don't think most people are probably going to get to that kind of very advanced level. Because again, that's kind of like looking at the personal trainer who is in fantastic shape and has fantastic nutrition and this, that, the other thing. It just takes a lot of work. And so ultimately, it's really hard in the sense that it takes a lot of effort and discipline, and it takes a specific lifestyle to achieve extreme fluency in a number of different languages. Heck, even just one language, right? It takes such a high amount of effort that a lot of people, just won't get there, right? Because their lifestyle, they don't want to put that kind of effort in. That's not something that makes them happy. It's not something that they really feel like doing. They have other priorities. Their lifestyle is focused around something completely different. And so it's just not practical for them. But on the other hand, where we get into this bit of a contradictory territory, at the same time, it's actually incredibly simple and incredibly easy. If someone said, man, I want to get in, hello, Daniel Japanese. No, this is not a recording. This is live. Hello, you're watching this live. Either that or I'm magic and I knew that Daniel would post a comment in there in that exact moment. But anyway, if someone said, man, I want to become healthy and I want to be in good shape, at the end of the day, there's not a lot to it. Eat right, exercise. That's kind of your main stuff. We can get into some other things as well, like sleeping, right? Things like we're keeping your stress down. So maybe there's four things. Keep your stress down and be in a good emotional state. Sleep, eat right, don't eat crap food, like eat good food, exercise. Done. You're gonna be in healthy shape. It's really simple. And yet it's not. And yet it's not, because we struggle. It's hard to eat the right foods because we want to eat the sugary foods. We don't want to exercise because it's not fun. And so what tends to happen is a lot of people, when it comes to exercise, you'll notice they look for other shortcuts aside from eating right, sleeping, or eating right, exercising, sleeping. A lot of the tried and true things that are very common sense, they look for other shortcuts. They look for this exercise program. They look for that exercise program. They look for this kind of food that they know deep down that's not really good for them, but it tastes good and it advertises healthy. So you're like, okay, I'll eat that, right? For language, it's very similar. It's what do you have to do? Practice a lot. Learn new words. Practice. Learn new grammar points. Learn new stuff. Practice it. Apply it. Make mistakes. Do that for a number of years, and magically, one day you'll be very, 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 very fluent. So ultimately, it's a bit of a contradiction, right? There's the side of things where it's very difficult, and we also have the side where it's very easy. So just the first thing I was thinking about it as I was driving, and I hope I explained it in an articulate way and it made sense. Hello, Marvin, in the live chat. I hope that made sense and everything. It was a thought that I had earlier that I wanted to pop the camera on and share with everyone today. Since we have a little bit of a live viewing today, sometimes we don't really have a live viewing, not much, but today we do. Any language learning topics or thoughts or questions you would like me to talk about, feel free to throw them in and we can add that into the video for today and I can talk about those. While you think about those, hello, another person hopped on live. Hello, Phil. I have some personal language learning updates and personal updates for everyone as well. So today is April, what's the date today? April 5th? April 8th. Wow. It's April 8th. I leave in 11 days. Double one. In 11 days, I will be going, hello Rasmus, I will be going to Taiwan for 5 weeks and I'll be in France for 2 weeks. So on that note, we can throw this out. If any of you are in France or if you are in Taiwan and you would like to grab a coffee or something, I'm open to that. There's already some people who've been reaching out saying, hey, let's meet up, let's grab a coffee. I'm definitely open to that. So I'll be in France and Taiwan. If you are in those countries, feel free to reach out. And I guess on the topic of Taiwan and France, I have a language learning tip I want to share with everyone, which is around teaching. Weirdly enough, when I'm in Taiwan, I am going to be teaching English to a Taiwanese family. I'm living with a Taiwanese family, and one of the exchanges of me living there, it's a very reasonable rate that I'm staying with them. One of the exchanges is that I will be teaching the family English while I live there. And I want to talk about this because one really good way to improve your level in a foreign language is to teach a foreign language. Whether that means, option one, you teach the foreign language that you're learning to someone who is less advanced than you. This is an option. I do this in Calgary. I have an intermediate level in Mandarin. And I, most of the time, almost always for free, will teach beginner Mandarin to people who have a lower level than me. And I teach them. That helps me to improve my Mandarin. I did something similar with French. I had an advanced level in French, but I felt like I was losing my French. So I started to teach French, just tutor it basically, to maintain my French and keep using it. So essentially, using your language, using your foreign language, and teaching someone less advanced than you how to speak that foreign language can be a very, very good way for you to practice and improve your abilities. Another thing you can do is you can teach your mother tongue in your foreign language. So this is what I'm going to be doing in Taiwan with the family. I will be teaching English, but the teaching medium of teaching English will be Mandarin. And that's going to push me. That's going to make me get a lot better at Mandarin while I'm teaching the family English. So for language learners, I would recommend this strategy. It works tremendously well. I find that it can be a very scary strategy for some. They're scared of making mistakes, like, oh my God, I don't know if I know enough to teach a language. I don't know how to do that. What if I don't know how to explain a concept? The beauty of teaching nowadays is that we have the internet. And with the internet, if you don't know how something works, or you don't know how to say something, or you don't know why something is said a specific way, whatever, it's really easy just to Google it and look it up. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. In my personal experience, students don't necessarily view it negatively if you're looking things up, which is the reality. I look stuff up all the time in English and French and Spanish and Mandarin. It doesn't matter. I'm always looking stuff up because I just know there's no way I'm ever going to know everything, even in my own mother tongue. There's no way I'll ever know everything. It's just not going to happen. And so it's perfectly fine to be looking stuff up. Now, I saw a question in the chat. Let me open this chat. How do I open it up? Here we go. Rasmus says, any tips for improving listening comprehension? It is my biggest struggle. I can't seem to be able to make much progress in it. Yeah, listening comprehension, I'll say a few things top of mind. Usually listening comprehension, when you struggle with it, it comes down to one of a few things. Sometimes it's a vocabulary issue, so you're like, you don't know enough words to be able to understand what people are saying to you, meaning people are speaking and you just don't know the words they're saying. A similar problem could be that you know the words that they're saying, but you haven't yet heard the word enough or had enough experience with the word for you to hear it and recognize that you know the word and make a connection to that word. So ultimately, if it's one of those two problems, if it's a number of words, you've got to keep studying the language and increasing your vocabulary. You can do that by taking classes. You can do that by taking online programs. You can do that using YouTube videos. You can do that with language exchanges where you speak and you practice with someone on Skype and you practice the language with them. Whatever strategies you're using you can use it through applications. Whatever strategy you're using to learn the language, that is a way to expand your vocabulary. If it is an issue of you're not understanding, like you know the word, but someone says it and your brain doesn't make the connection that, oh, I know that word, it means that you have to be in more scenarios that force you to apply that word. For example, maybe you need to keep a daily journal where you are journaling about your day and you're specifically making a point to use the new words in your journal. Maybe it means that you need to actually do language exchanges where you have a goal of using the new words that you have learned in your language exchange. Maybe it means you have to find a private tutor and you have to tell the tutor, hey tutor, here's like a bunch of concepts that I've been learning recently. Here's like 50, 10, however many, bunch of words and concepts of grammar that I have been learning recently. And I would like to actually get some practice with these. I wonder if you can lead some conversations around these kinds of words and topics. And that's going to train your brain to hear those words and get used to it more. Those are definitely some common things. Listening comprehension as well sometimes can be a challenge with, how do you say it, the grammatical side of things, meaning you are hearing, how do I explain this? You know a lot of words, but you don't know, you have holes in your grammar knowledge, so that even when you hear someone talk, you hear a lot of the words, but you're not able to actually understand what they said. So I can give a personal example for this. Hindi is a great example. When I listen to Hindi, I recognize a lot of the words often. I'll be like, oh, I know that word. I got that. I understand a significant percentage of the vocabulary. And yet, I often have no idea what they said. Often I'll struggle. I'll be like, I understood that word, but I don't know what that meant. And it's because I have very little grammatical knowledge of Hindi. So when someone says, I wish I even knew enough Hindi to give an example, but if someone says, like, I might hear the word Like I don't even know what the verb is, but I know like ka has to do with eating, right? I think that's the word. It sounds something like that. I know it has to do with eating, but I have no idea how to adapt that verb and conjugate it into different tenses. And I don't know how ka. I don't even know if that's the root of the verb. I just know anytime I hear that kind of sound, it's talking about food. But I don't know the grammar enough to understand the nuances of, are you eating food now? Were you eating food? Do you not want to eat food? Are you hungry? Like I don't know enough context, so I hear that I'm like, oh yeah, talking about food, but that's not enough to understand what's going on. Does that make sense? So that's a really really big thing as well. So it's either some kind of vocabulary gap or a grammar gap, and you're gonna have to close the gap on whatever the main issue is. I saw Rasmus follow up here. Do you think passive listening helps? I have several MP3 players, and I'm listening to my target languages as much as possible. Very interesting topic. Question, excuse me. I would say, so passive listening, for those of you who don't know what it is, passive listening means that you are listening to the language via audios, via MP3s, via podcasts. Maybe you're watching videos. You are maybe even reading. You can get passive reading. There's a lot of reading. There's a lot of passive things you can do, right? But passive study. How do I phrase this? I've got it in my mind, and I'm having troubles getting. I'm having trouble like explaining it clearly. Passive listening and passive studies, in my experience, you will feel like you're improving the language. You'll feel like you are because you're practicing the language. You're listening. You're enjoying yourself. You'll feel like you are, but you're actually not. It's like me. I listen to a lot of music in Mandarin and Spanish. When I listen to Mandarin music, I feel like, oh yeah, I'm practicing Mandarin. Yeah, I'm getting good. Oh yeah, that word. Right. But what I'm really just doing is I'm just kind of using a passive skills to maintain some of the stuff that I already know, or keep my mind kind of thinking about the language. But passive listening or passive viewing or passive anything with the language, it's just maintaining the stuff that's already there, and or just helping you remember that, oh yeah, that language exists. And so it's helpful. There's definitely value, but it's not going to be something that really, for most cases, it's not going to be something that helps you to improve your level. A good analogy I can give you, it's kind of like, let's think of it this way. Let's see, so you might, you might feel, here's a good example. You might feel productive if you are in a good workspace. Let's say you work in an office, and your office has it's a really well designed workplace. It's comfy chairs. Things are designed properly. It's very friendly feeling. The colors are nice. The scheme is nice. Everything is really nice. And when you walk in, you're like, oh yeah, I feel. You see people working. Like you're like, oh yeah, I wanna get some work done. Yeah, this is good. Like you're thinking about work, right? Your brain, your body goes into work mode. But that doesn't mean actual work gets done. It just kind of primes the pump. Does that make sense? Like you just feel good about it, which maybe makes, when you start working, it's going to make it easier to work. Versus if you go to a bar where it's noisy, there's noises, there's people drinking, it's hard to make yourself work. It's kind of that like analogy. But at the end of the day, even if you're in a fantastic workspace and work environment, you still have to actually work. Otherwise, no work gets done. Passive listening is very similar to that. Passive stuff, it primes the pump. Yeah, it's good, but you still actually gotta do active listening and active study to actually push your abilities forward. Some ideas for active listening activities. Let's think this through. I've never actually thought about that. There's a lot. So active listening specifically. Here's some good ones. If you can find, or there's a lot, depending on the language you're learning, you will be able to find on YouTube or Google, or even podcasts, places where you have to listen to an audio and you're going to be quizzed on that audio. This is a really, really good listening activity because it forces you to be very active with your listening. It's really hard. Even in your mother tongue, it's really hard because you have to listen so carefully. And you're like, wait, what did they actually say? You have to listen and remember, and you have to like, it's really difficult. But that can be an excellent kind of activity. Some other active activities that I think can be useful for people here that I recommend, and this will go both for the listening side and the speaking side as well, that I've been playing with a lot recently, and it's been extremely effective, both for myself as a learner and as a teacher teaching people, is the following. You need to find a private tutor or a friend, for example, right? A friend, a private tutor. You've got to find someone, right, that you can do this with. Hopefully an advanced or native speaker. The advanced or native speaker, I can even show you a demo here. Let me show you a demo. I have it on my phone from my own lessons. If I can pull it up quickly here. So this is a, here actually, hold up a second. Let me just open it up. Bear with me a moment. Okay, so I sent this as an audio message to one of my students. Have a listen.
Bonjour Jamie. Alors, je veux savoir qui est ton acteur, actrice, réalisateur ou réalisatrice préféré. Pourquoi est-ce que cette personne est ton préféré?
Okay, so I sent this audio, right? This is for my students. A short, whatever that is, 20 seconds, 15 seconds, where they're going to have to listen, and they're going to reply using an audio as well. She's going to reply using an audio. And what that does is a couple things. Number one, you have to fully understand the question. Like even that 17 seconds, you have to fully understand what I said to be able to respond. It's difficult to respond if you didn't really understand that one little question. The other thing it makes you do is when you reply, when Jamie replies to me here, right? There's something about the act of recording yourself while you're replying that makes you get really conscious about the words that are coming out of your mouth. When you are speaking with someone in a conversation, it's easy to make mistakes and not realize you're making mistakes. It's easy for you just to speak, get the message across, and not even realize that you messed up some verbs, that blah, blah, blah happened. It's even easy for the other person to not notice your mistakes because you're just having a conversation. There's something about it. But when you're recording yourself, you start to realize, wait, should I say parler? Or should I say parle? Or should I say parlons? Oh, and those are French verbs. Should I say that one? What should I say? And you start to realize, oh, shoot, I don't know how to do that verb conjugation. Or maybe you're speaking, you're like in Indian languages, it's easy to throw English in. When I do my Gujarati exercises like this, I'll realize I don't know how to say nutrition. Huh. In a conversation, I wouldn't have noticed it because I would have said nutrition in English and it would have been just fine. I was like, oh, interesting. Or I don't know if that word is masculine or feminine. Huh. So it's a very active activity where a 30-second audio is going to have a big impact on your brain and your learning. And the connection to listening, because the original question was around listening, the connection to listening is quite simply that if you, number one, the listening part of this, if you do with the tutor or a language exchange partner of someone, the listening side alone will be really good for you, but the speaking itself is going to feed your listening too. The speaking itself will feed your listening because you're going to realize how many things you don't know how to say, how many things are not clear for you, and that's going to help you realize that when people say those to you, you might not have understood it either. Last but not least, when you're doing these listening things, it's going to, how do I phrase this? Sometimes when you struggle with listening, man, this is good. I'm being pushed into new territory with this question, which is really good. Sometimes when you do listening activities, you don't understand because your ears, you have a poor understanding of the sounds of the language. Meaning, you can recognize words. If you read it, you get it, but your ears have not been tuned to the language. Meaning, someone says, if I said, je crois in French, if your ears are not tuned properly to a French R, to some of the vowel sounds, what's going on, your brain might hear it and be like, I don't know what he said. But the second I write it, or I say it with an English accent, or I mispronounce it, you're like, oh, that word, I know that one. So why am I getting into this? When you send audios, I highly recommend that you try to pronounce things very, very well, and that you have whoever you're sending it to correct your pronunciation. Most of the time, in my experience, people who have a good listening comprehension, and they really have a good listening comprehension, meaning they hear all the words, they hear all the sounds, they know all, they understand the exact meaning of what was said and not the general meaning. More often than not, those people have, at a minimum, adequate pronunciation. Not perfect. They're not going to sound like a native speaker. Sometimes, yes, but adequate. People who do not understand, who do not have a really good listening comprehension, tend to have poor pronunciation as well, because they don't have a solid understanding of the sounds of the language, right? So they go hand in hand. Man, this is a good episode. I love this one. This is a lot of fun. Any other updates I want to give you guys? I don't think so. This has been going for 26. Man, there's so many more things I want to say, but I know that if we go for over, you know what? Oh man, there's things I want to say. There's things I want to add. It's already 12:38. It's been going for 26 minutes. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna have a really, really long episode, a little bit of a longer episode today. There's some stuff that I really want to get into that are on my mind that are pretty important, and so we're gonna keep going. Let's keep going here. I would appreciate, if you made it this far in the video, I would appreciate a couple likes if you like it, a couple comments below, leave a little comment, get the lurkers out, stop hiding. I want to see your comments, I want to see your faces. Anyway, so this is a really big one. This is non-languagey, but it's just really heavy on my mind, and I find myself talking about it a lot on different social platforms, so let's bring it to YouTube as well. So when you follow a lot of my social content on Instagram and Facebook and podcasts and YouTube and all these different things, I was realizing on Friday night that sometimes it can seem like, my work life is all sunshine, rainbows, and daisies. Things are amazing. Things are going well, and it's awesome, and it's good, and oh my God, Azren gets to live his work life teaching languages. Wow, I wish I could do that. Or, oh my God, he's traveling. Wow, there's a lot of stuff that it's easy to think everything's perfect. And I don't know, I just want to take a minute or two to make it very clear that that's not how it is. It's just not. There are a lot of things that on a day-to-day basis that are just not going well, or that maybe are a little bit more stressful, or that I need to be working on. Let me give you some examples here. This is very I guess you could say reminiscent of the couple videos I made where I turn on the video and I start ranting off a bunch of things I'm bad at and weaknesses that I have. Like, it's very reminiscent of that, because I just want to remind everyone that it's never all perfect and rainbows and sunshine and all that. No matter what you're seeing on whose social media, all of you can think of someone on your social media, at least one of you, at least one person. You can all think of someone on your social media whose life you're like, that looks awesome, wow, everything looks so nice, such nice pictures, you look so happy. Not necessarily, man, not necessarily. Like, here's some things, examples, stuff that I'm messing up on currently that really suck. Some minor ones. There's some emails that I need to send that I have not sent. There's someone who's waiting on me there's one person who's waiting on me for two things. She cannot get some stuff done that she really probably should be working on, that we've talked about, that she can't do until I send a couple emails, and I just have not done it. Just reality, haven't done it. There's some minor stressors in my world right now around students, right? Like, I'm gone for 7 weeks. I'm traveling. I'm gone for 7 weeks, right? That means I still have to problem solve a lot of my work. Like, I do not want to go 2 months without an income. On the same token, I do not think it's right to leave my students high and dry with no classes, no nothing for 2 months. I don't think that's right. Like, consistency is important. So I need to make sure both for my sake, for my like wallet's sake, like for the sake of the wallet, right, and for the sake of students, like that, I have to make sure that there's systems in place where people can still take lessons, and people can still learn, and things keep still moving forward. There's a lot of things work related in my city that cannot stop when I'm gone. So I have been bringing people on board to work with these different events, and there's stressors around that. There's like I've got some angst right now, some anxiety, some like uneasiness around around the events going smoothly. Here's the good thing. I have not prepared my event hosts properly. I just haven't done it. I have not gotten them prepared. Like I've got the people, they're not ready to run events. Hell no, they're not ready. I have not. They're kind of ready, but there's so much more that I should have done by now to have them prepared, but I haven't done it. There's a lot of stuff around my trip as well that I just misfired on. There's so many opportunities I could have taken advantage of for my trip that I have not done so. There's a lot of communications issues I'm having as well around Langfest. So I bet you 90% of you don't even know, but I've got to talk about it because it's so relevant. I'm speaking at Langfest. Langfest is the Language Learning Conference in August. I'm going to be there and I'm speaking at it. And here's another thing. I'm just dropped the ball on all levels for this thing. I'm actually running a French course in Montreal. I'm going to be taking, or not a French course, that should be phrased. I'm doing some French studies with French students in Montreal, and that's a communications piece I've just not talked about. But I'm doing it, and we're gonna have people, but I've done a really bad job of talking about it. So all in all, right, there's a lot of stuff that just is not. Oh, here's a big one. I'll throw this one out too. Biggest one. One of the biggest insecurities I have, and things that I think about is I don't know if I'll be able to sustain myself working for myself forever or for the long term. I just don't know. It's been about 2.5, 3 years, and it's been reasonably successful so far. But there's a level of not anxiety, but there's a level of angst about, can I keep this going for the long term? Who knows? Like, I don't know. There might be a day where it's like I'm struggling and I'm not able to keep it going, or I don't want to keep it going. So that's something I think about. Like, I don't want to fail. I don't want it to fail. Like, that's not at all what I want. And yet, that's something I have to deal with. At least for me, I'm working for myself. And working for myself, that's something that I think about. I think about that a lot. Yeah, right? Or like I lost a student recently. That's like real, like it bothered me. Like I was counting on like some income from a specific bunch of classes I'm running that is now more up in the air, right? Like there's different things around that, right? But that's just the bed that I've decided to sleep in. And so I guess for me, the big thing I'm always trying to think about, at least I try, and I'm not perfect and I'll mess it up and blah 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 blah, right? Where was I going? Right. I just try to always be on the attack and like try and be moving forward at all times. And I realize that most things are not in like, there's a lot of stuff that isn't in my control. All that's in my control is like trying my best and trying to keep moving forward. And I won't be able to control every outcome, but I can make sure that at the end of the day, even if there are setbacks and things that don't go as planned, at the end of the day, I can still make sure that, I am doing okay. I've achieved the things I want to achieve. I have the money that I need. I'm happy. Most importantly, I'm happy, right? Things like that. So I'm mindful of it. I'm mindful of my costs. I still live at my home, by the way. Like I'm still living with my family because I know that if I move out, there's way more financial strain. So I choose to live at home, for the time being to keep that financial strain off my back. So I'll address something that came up in the comments right now. I should look at passive income or creating a course. Sure, it's an option. Who knows? Yeah, it's an option. As of right now, nope. Doesn't feel exciting to me. I'm not motivated to create an online course. That doesn't sound like fun for me. I don't think I would enjoy the process. And I would not enjoy the process of making a course at this point in time, even if it might be a good idea and it might help in certain ways. It just doesn't sound like fun. And so I don't want to do it because I feel happier doing things how I'm doing things now. Additionally, I know the process. If I made an online course, at least for me, I feel that one of the natural courses of action would be to actively promote it on my social channels, and I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't want. I don't feel comfortable selling a lot on my social channels. Something about that doesn't feel right. Maybe it's a flaw, and maybe I should be doing it more. Who knows? I just know that I don't feel right doing a lot of self promotion on my social channels. Personally, the way that I earn a lot of my income now, and the way that I use my social channels is I use my social channels as a way to get to know different people, and I get to network with different people. And then when I have a course or when I have a program like this Montreal stuff that I'm doing, or I'm taking French students, I haven't talked about it because I feel uncomfortable promoting it. What I do feel comfortable doing is through my online efforts, through my local efforts, through a lot of these efforts, I have met people who because I know them, I know that, hey, this would be really good for you. Like, I feel very comfortable coming to you and saying, hey man, I think you should come to Montreal because I'm doing this with French students. Here's why I think it's good for you. It fits really well because I know you were telling me about this, that, the other thing. You've been working on French, and this is your level. This is the level of another student that's coming. I know the other student. I know you. You guys will get along. This is on a silver platter for you. I've sold some Langfest tickets that way as well. I've not even talked about Langfest tickets. I don't feel comfortable selling it. Here's my promo code. I don't feel comfortable. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I just don't feel, at this stage of my life, I don't feel comfortable with it. Not super comfortable. So the way I've sold 2 Langfest tickets so far is I remember a lot of people that I went with, that I've met, that I know are probably going back, or people I'm like, hey, you should probably go. I messaged them all individually, and I was like, hey man, I'm putting a group purchase together. Like, it's actually, if you're gonna go, you might as well do it this way because you'll get it for cheaper. It just made sense. So I've sold 2 tickets that way. So anyway, I forgot how we got on this topic. Oh yeah, I'm making a course, right? Was that the comment? Yeah, I'm making a course. Maybe it'll happen. Wouldn't shock me. But as of right now, no, I just don't feel super comfortable selling. I don't feel comfortable selling a lot on my social channels. Every now and then, I can throw some things out. Like, I'll throw it out now. If you want to come to a language learning conference, you want to learn some French in Montreal, you want to do that this summer in August, reach out to me, because that's something that I'll be putting together. There's probably like 3 spaces approximately left for that. I think I'll fill them by myself. I don't think I'll need to do a lot. We'll find out. Maybe I'll change my mind in 7 minutes, but I could think of a lot of people who I think it'll be good for, so I'm gonna reach out to them first. But if you're hearing this, you're like, hey, I'd like to come to Montreal. I'd like to learn French with you. I'd like to get some immersion for a few days, a week or so. Reach out, and we can definitely happy to chat with you about it. Anyway, I'm going for 38 minutes. Holy moly! I think this is enough video, long enough. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it. You guys rock, and we'll chat soon. Chat next time. Bye.